Right, welcome to UK GK TV, and this is the kind of creaky post-New Year video, isn't it? Really?
It is, yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but the season has worn me out.
Yeah, it has. It's the smell of Lynx Africa is now disappearing. Shaky's gone back in his cage.
No more Slade.
No more Slade. No more Mariah Carey. We're all okay.
I never do that.
We've all got a Lynx Africa on, so we're all good now. And
we're Old Spice for me, Dave.
Old Spice, old school Bill.
Mate,
It's that kind of weird period between Christmas and New Year.
They call it Twixtmas, apparently.
Who calls it Twixtmas?
Well, the people who call stuff. I call it Twixtmas. It's betwixt Christmas. Being a poet, you know.
Yeah.
I call it Twixtmas. My wife said it's being pretentious, but hey.
It's where everyone goes on a diet.
It is promises.
Now, I've been told by Rachel that I've got to go on a diet, but looking at the videos, they say that it puts 5 pounds on you. There must be about 50 cameras on me at the moment. I look like Jabba the Hutt on the video. Yeah, I look like Jabba the Hutt in the minute.
My excuse is I've got a lot of layers on.
Have you? Yeah, I'm doing that. Anyway, let's introduce ourselves. My name's Dave.
Yeah. And Bill, of course.
And today with us, we've got the great Paul Willetts. He's very quiet, so it's not the mic. So he is a quiet-speaking gentleman, bit like myself. So he's very quiet.
He's reserved, aren't we? That's
we're reserved. We're reserved. Anyway, thank you for last year, guys. You really appreciate the support. It's been a great year. We've had a few suggestions that we'll go into on another video, but we are going to be try and put them out a bit more now. Mm-hmm. But today we thought we'd have a word with one of the guys that is important to the hobby. Mm.
Yeah, if you've ever been to UK GK, you've probably seen Paul and talked to him, or at least seen his work on his stall. I met him years ago on the first UK GK I went to, and I was absolutely fascinated by the work that he did. Mm-hmm. And like most sculptors, he's I think you're more modest than you should be. But I know, you know, I mean, it's like Paul Fay. It's like, I don't want to talk. Or Joe.
Joe's the same.
I don't want to go.
Yeah, but aren't they often the best people?
They are the best people because they're more interested in what they're making rather than themselves. And so that's kind of a compliment, really.
Thank you very much.
I when I first saw Paul's stuff, I got being like the pretentious person I am.
Yeah.
I'm trying to relate what I see to art history in a way.
Okay.
And when I saw his work, the delicacy of it and the porcelain quality reminded me very much of Japanese sculpture of the 19th century.
Your stuff's so refined.
That's how Jesus. I think. Refined is the word.
Refined is so amazing. Yeah. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul. Where did you start off? Was it with N&T, or what happened?
Yeah, it was more the progression from role-playing games and war games figures, converting.
You can tell, Paul.
Changing them, so they're obviously very small. So you're used to working on a small scale with that.
I suppose when you buy some of the bigger kits, like the vehicles and stuff, or the bigger sort of like what I would think of like robot style ones. Was it called something Forge that they?
Forge World.
Forge World, isn't it?
The bigger kits,
larger scale,
the resin ones.
Things,
yeah. I suppose you get a notion of how things are assembled as well.
Yeah.
If you build it,
how they cast and
things.
I just can't believe the amount of detail in something so small. All I can say is them glasses were better than mine. That's all I'll say. They must be some.
Past that now, mate. Going downhill.
They must be some fantastic set of glasses, Paul. I'm telling you that.
This is one of the questions.
Scale.
So that scale, why did you work on that scale? Because it interests me that you do, because it's kind of unusual that somebody should work in that scale, because it's very delicate, very precise. Is that part of your personality?
I suppose that's just what I'm used to, and I suppose, yes, part of my personality, because I'm not big and out there. I tend to be more reserved, so I don't know whether that reflects on working on something smaller.
Yeah, possibly.
If you understand what I mean, rather than being big and bold, you're a lot more quiet and reserved. So
you just basically
what you're making is more.
Yeah, you just get reserved. On with it, don't you? Yeah. I mean, Paul's been to virtually every show, and people now go to see Paul, and I think his last show was a good one. He enjoyed it, and people now expect Paul to be there. Yeah. So he's kind of like part of the community in a big way. So the thing I like about Paul, it's like Andy Cope. They fetch a different element to the garage kit scene in the UK. Yeah. So as you say, it's incredibly, guys, you've got to check his stuff out. Paul Willetts, If you haven't met this guy before, check out Paul Willetts' sculpture on his Facebook page. His stuff is incredibly small, and it's doing it an injustice. It's incredibly detailed.
Yeah.
I mean, that samurai is just fantastic.
Yeah, you see, that I think that's what gives me that. I don't think I saw the samurai. The Japanese feel came to me before the samurai. But when I look at that samurai, I think, I mean, I'm not belittling our hobby at all, because people say garage kit, they have a specific view in mind. To me, even though it's a garage kit, to me that's a kind of a piece of sculpture that I would perhaps see in the V&A.
What the samurai?
Lovely. The samurai beautiful is like piece. Beyond. Beautiful. If you saw it in like Harrods,
yeah, in
a glass case,
you wouldn't be surprised, would you?
You wouldn't be surprised,
no,
because
no.
The delicacy of it and the accuracy, but also the kind of overall sort of they have a feeling of serenity.
Yeah.
You know, is that peaceful sort of cherry blossom kind of feel.
They're not in an action pose, aggressive pose.
It's like reposed, isn't it? It's like the warrior, relaxed.
But then again, he goes and then he goes and does all that, and then does a banana man.
Oh, banana.
Where did Banana Man come from?
I don't know.
So that throws your theory out the water.
Well,
I bounce around through lots of different things because I don't feel I can compete with everybody else doing the regular stuff.
Well, that's rubbish.
But that's how I feel myself. Everybody else has done the Predator and Alien, and they've done it to death, and I'm looking for something different,
something new.
Nobody's done. Yeah, that I'm not having to compete with anybody else.
You're very influenced by cartoons, aren't you? Like children's cartoons, and the Banana Man springs to mind. But there was another one. There's one of like a horse figure that I'm never quite sure what cartoon, because I never saw that cartoon. That
was from Brave Star.
Yeah. So that seems to be a thing that you can kind of return to.
It's the artwork that I like. That's probably my biggest influence is artwork, whether it be in fancy artists, Frank Frazetta, Boris Vallejo,
or
any of those.
Just for Bill, because he says it's not available anymore.
Oh, is it actually available in
this? This is what for you American readers. See how
Banana Man is in there.
See how me and Paul worked that in really nice. We wasn't scripted. This is for Bill because it's the New Year one, and we thought we'd get this one to him. Now, this is what Bill keeps going on about, guys. So this will keep him, his toilet breaks. He'll be okay with toilet breaks now.
Thanks, man. New Year gift, the Beano. There's
Banana Man in that?
Yeah, I think he's in the Beano.
Is he Beano or the Dandy?
I think it's the Beano.
Yeah, for foreign viewers, these comic books go back hundreds of years, literally. It's the Victorian times, and the Beano and the Dandy are the two that have lasted the longest. There's things like Whizzer and Chips. But the thing is, remember, without the Beano and the Dandy, which are English weeklies, aren't they? You wouldn't have 2000 AD, so you wouldn't have Judge Dredd, you wouldn't have Strontium Dog, you wouldn't have all of those characters that people are mad about now. Nemesis the Warlock, all of that wouldn't be, because these morphed in the 60s and 70s, didn't they? From Penny Dreadful Comics, which is like comic books, to the British version of what we would see, say, Marvel or DC. Yeah.
So all this technical stuff about Paul being a great sculptor, which he is, he reads the Beano. So that coolness has gone.
I don't know, you see, because I always used to think Banana Man was like... I used to love watching Banana Man.
Banana.
It was on the BBC, wasn't it?
To be honest, that's how I knew Banana Man rather than through the Beano, because I didn't know he was in Beano.
No, I thought he was
just
a TV
on the telly.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I had children and they got the Beano that I saw, Banana Man's in there.
Does he live on, is it Acacia Avenue? It's like 356 Acacia. I think it's Acacia Avenue.
You know far too much.
I know. I used to drive along a place called Acacia Avenue on the way to work when I worked in Altrincham. And I used to think, I wonder if Banana Man lives here.
Not gonna go. Anyway, back to
the question. So, how did you realise? Because I was talking about my own experience. I kind of was I was good at drawing, and then I had to do sculpture as part of my course, and I just realised I was quite good at it. How did you realise you could actually sculpt? How did that first?
Again, it was just natural progression from converting other figures like the Warhammer figures. Mm-hmm. Also, sort of larger scale fantasy figures. I might change a pose, trying to match a piece of artwork.
Yeah.
Because again, the artwork was always the biggest inspiration for me. So the first figure I sculpted as a garage kit was, I don't know whether you'd remember this, it was called Dead Slinger. It's like a zombie gunslinger.
Yeah. Did you do that for NT?
That was for N&T, and that was based
fantastic piece, that is.
Artwork by Brom.
Oh, Brom,
and
Brom, yeah.
And that was the first figure I did because I really loved that piece of artwork, and I just wanted that as a kit to paint.
Yeah.
I wanted that as something to
really
paint
popular,
myself.
That, though. Was it popular at the time?
No.
Really?
Not at all. I don't think we sold many at all.
That's a really... Have you seen it? It's a lovely piece.
I mean, I've seen the pic... Because I used to be a member of one of these monthly book clubs, you know, when he sends you the book of the month.
Yeah.
And there was a section which was arts and fantasies, and it was like they would send me the Vallaggio book, or they would send me the Chris Aquilos book, or whatever. And one week I forgot to cancel it because I'd never heard of Brom, and this Brom thing came, and I thought, well, this is dark.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I liked about it. It was like Vallaggio in terms of the quality of the work, but the images were much more gothic. And a little bit more sort of deathly. Yeah. There's a lot of like almost like zombie. Yeah. Like the beauty of decay.
Am I correct in saying that's characters based on a Clint Eastwoody type character?
It is very similar, and that again is another thing that I really like.
Clint Eastwood and
westerns.
Yeah.
So it's another influence. So bringing
the two together,
horror and westerns together.
It's got you.
There's two favourites. That's what grabbed me.
It's got you. So you did the N&T thing. Did you do much more for N&T?
I did a few more. The one everybody remembers me for is the werewolf.
The big one.
That I did, the big werewolf.
That was basically debuted, or was that one of the shows? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you do Little Red Riding Hood as well with it? Yeah, he did. Yes. He did a great werewolf.
Everybody forgets the Red Riding Hood because they focused on the wolf.
Because it was so big, wasn't it? It was massive. The werewolf was. I remember we in the early days of UKGK. Paul had a table. And he was you were flying the flag for N&T at the time, weren't you? You were selling their stuff. I don't know what happened. We can go into that another day. But Paul had this huge big werewolf, and the amount of I think I ended up getting one or two off you, didn't
Possibly, yeah. There was a lot of interest. They did very well with that.
Big werewolf, and then a little tiny. Little
Red Riding Hood was.
Not very big, was she?
10 inches tall. No.
Yeah. Well, the Americans loved it.
That kind of undoes my you work on a very small scale then, so that's not the case.
I do bounce around between things,
Because the next question I was going to ask was it hobby first, then the skills, or did the skills lead you into the hobby?
It was the hobby first, probably, and then, as I say, natural progression, converting stuff up to trying to make my own.
Now the one thing that always bedazzles me, because I work in combined media, I work in Sculpey, I work in epoxy putty, and that's my two things. So I make it in Sculpey, I fire it, if it's no good, I hack it up, and then add a load of epoxy putty to it, so it works. Particularly when I'm getting the bits to fit together like a kit at the end. That's all added on.
That's the awkward bit.
That's the awkward bit. But whenever I see you're working in self-hardening clay, aren't you?
Yeah. I think I'm known for being the idiot working in Dad's clay.
Dad's clay. I'm thinking, we did this at Dad's clay. I can't make a bloody... the thumb pot ashtrays you made as a kid. I struggle with that with Dad, so come on, tell us the secret.
What's the secret?
The reason I used that was really just because it was cheap and readily available.
Yeah.
That was the only reason. I'm not into the internet.
Because you can get it from the Works, can't you?
Yeah, the Works. That was where I first got it from.
Yeah.
It was the Works. But it works for me because of the way I sculpt. I'm only doing little tiny bits at a time.
Yeah.
I'm not doing...
I understand that.
I see some sculptures, they do like sort of a big torso and then they mould and shape that.
Yeah, they work onto it.
They work onto it and carve out of it. Yeah. I can't work like that. And if I was to do that in that clay, yes, it would crack and it falls to bits and it wouldn't be any good.
So you sculpt in parts?
I do in parts. The way I do it, I followed the instructions in the Kit Builders magazine by Jason Spider Adams.
Yeah.
And he showed a wire armature that was basically a skeleton, and then added each individual muscle to it.
Oh.
Even the ones that are totally covered up and you don't see.
No, that's how you're taught.
That's how, I love anatomy, so I followed those instructions. So I would add the individual sausages of muscles, let that dry, and then add the next layer that's on top of that muscle. So by doing that, I'm only doing small amounts at a time.
Yeah,
I'm letting it dry. It's not a big heavy piece that's
I see.
cracking.
So you don't
sculpt
sculpt into it, you sculpt on top of it.
Yeah, you build up.
Yeah, you build up like... I think Joe Bailey does a similar sort of thing. He tends to do, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, he tends to have a illustration like, and he'll he'll have like a picture, a photocopy of a skeleton, and he'll use whatever size, and he'll make it to that size, and then he puts everything on it, even the private parts.
Yeah.
I don't know
Even if you're covering it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Because the clothes and
Is that what you
stuff
do as well?
Better.
Well,
not as good as Joe, but I'm similar. I copy the same principle.
You do similar to that, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, right, that's good, isn't it?
Because that's how you're taught at art school. Even if you're doing like a draped figure, when you're draping the clay, it's better if you're draping the clay over a sculpted figure, because the draped clay follows the contours of the body, as opposed to being a big wad of clay and then cutting into it
carving it out.
And carving it out. Then you get a very static feel to it.
Yeah.
So that
makes sense then.
Yeah,
it makes sense because if you've got an hard surface, you can mould over the top of it.
Yes.
I should imagine you do your bits. And listen to me like I know what I'm talking about. So you'll do your stuff over the top, will you? And it just sits on the top, so you get that natural flow.
So it has, as you've said there with Joe, you're carving all of the muscles and everything, even if that's covered up with clothes.
Yeah,
I still do as much as I can, partly because that's the part I like. I don't like doing clothes.
No,
I like the anatomy. I like the figure itself. So
what about likenesses? Have you ever tried a likeness?
I'm not very good at that.
Yeah, but you say that, but there's that Harry Potter figure you did, the guy with the one-eyed professor.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with that.
I look. There was a paint up of it on a photograph the other day, and I think you'd added a Christmas hat to it or something. But looking at it, I thought it was a photograph of whoever the actor, the Irish actor, what's he called?
Brendan Gleeson.
Brendan Gleeson. I thought, it's a fit. And then I looked. I said, no, that's Paul's actual skull.
Have you tried to do many likenesses, Paul?
Not many, because I find it difficult.
Okay.
And I've tend to shy away from that.
So you do more characters?
With that one, I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone really and do stuff that isn't easier. It's not easy by any means, but do the harder stuff to try and make myself better.
Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to do, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. So that's what I'm trying to do lately. I did a Bilbo.
That's good.
Remember the Bilbo?
What Baggins?
So I'm trying to find characters that have distinctive features that are easier to
as a
capture
sculptor,
the likeness.
Can I ask you a question? I know what everyone tells me, but you tell me this. Are good-looking people harder to do than ugly people?
Yes.
There you go. So everyone says that.
Yeah.
So don't do many females, because it's harder.
Dinosaurs with loads of horns and scales are much easier to make more exciting than dinosaurs without horns and scales. I know it's a different kettle of fish, but it's the same thing. It's like I've seen so many. I've seen half a dozen attempts at Luana, which is Racco Welch in 1,000,000 years BC. And you know what? Not one of them. And this might just be me, but not one of them comes close to being as attractive as Racco Welch, and it's the same as.
I think it's harder.
It's harder to do, and Ingrid Pitt is the other one.
Yeah.
Ingrid Pitt, she's a lovely looking woman, and she has something about her that's not actually expressed in the structure of her face. So you can get a really good likeness of Ingrid Pitt, which is near enough exact, but because it's a likeness and because it's static, you don't get anywhere near the kind of effervescence
got that character
of Ingrid Pitt, and I think that's it. So with a sculptor, I think you've got. I think you have to perhaps, and this is me like you talking shit, right? But I'm thinking you have to give yourself a little bit of artistic license with a likeness to bring that life to it.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily getting it photographic, because photographic stuff can look quite dead. There's a difference between painting a portrait and taking a photo, isn't it? You know?
That's the hard thing with getting a likeness as well, isn't it? Because most of the time with those sort of well-known characters, you're not doing it from a life, that you're doing it from a picture.
From a picture,
and it's already lost a little bit in that picture.
Never thought about it like that way,
filtered,
but it has,
it's filtered down, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you're copying that and losing a little bit more.
Do you find that people with more distinguishing features, like big nose, big chin, big head, foreheads, big ears, there you can go, right, he's got big ears, like me. So is that a cheat, is it? Is that what?
Yeah, I think to capture the likeness, you need to be able to see what it is that makes that person look like that person.
Because we're not all as good looking as Bill, are we?
No. Certainly I'm not.
It's a burden, but I've learned to live with it.
Is it sure, isn't it?
That's why I'm not wearing my glasses, because my wife said to me, when you're doing your video, do you think you could sit there without your glasses on for a minute? Because I did this thing called AI Viking. It's a thing on you put your photograph in and it AIs you as a Viking, and you come out looking like the Last Kingdom. I don't know if you ever watched the Last Kingdom. There's this guy called Ulrich on it, and my wife's got a thing about him. Right, it's fantastic. Alexander Draymond, he's a handsome. I'm surprised no one's done a figure, to be honest. I think maybe people have, but I tell you what, he's a handsome guy. And when I put myself with the AI Viking filter,
that's how you look.
I look just like it. And she said,
so she said, leave your glasses off.
I thought, yeah, okay. So here we go.
There we go. Bill the Viking.
Vanitas vanitatum, is this, right? That's me.
Women love him and men would love to be him.
Yeah, like I say, it's a burden, but I can manage.
I think I'll skip that one. Anyway, yeah, we'll go past that one.
But back to seriousness. So, what do you think? Is I was just talking as an educationalist. COVID had a massive effect on me in terms of my job and stuff like that. And I'm thinking mostly here about output as a sculptor. I mean, I had a load of time on my hands, and I perhaps didn't use it as well as I could have done. And I at the end of it, I remember meeting you in Morrison's, wasn't it? Yeah. And we sort of recognised, we're looking at each other. We know each other, from UKGK, and then it kind of come back, and it made me realise that for like 2 years I'd been locked in my house. Yeah. And I'd made one kit, but I hadn't cast it because I'd not been able to get out to get the resin and stuff like that. And when I saw you, I went home and I thought, well, I'm going to get that kit out of the box.
There you go.
So you were a bit of an inspiration for me, because I felt when I met you that I didn't feel like I was as isolated. Yeah. What did you put? Did COVID give you time to produce, or
it gave me more time to sculpt and think about what I was doing, and to paint the ones that I'd already sculpted and had cast, which I tend to fall behind on. I mean, firstly, I was a painter and I loved painting, but once I started sculpting, painting one to one side, and I just wanted to sculpt. So I had a number of kits that I could catch up on.
Right, and so it basically gave you a
that was good.
Space.
It gave me a bit.
So basically, Boris paid us to paint model kits, didn't he?
Hopefully, yeah.
I mean, which was great.
Well, it for me it was good because I meant I was teaching online, which meant that I was like 3 yards away from my stuff. So as soon as I'd finished at the end of the day, I actually went and did some work eventually. But I just felt that it was one of those times when I kind of lost a little bit of touch. Not touch with my own art, but maybe a little bit of touch with the hobby.
You kind of went quiet, didn't you? Because we had a bit of an incident, didn't we? With
a friend of ours that
God bless him.
That died.
And you went a little bit quiet, didn't you?
Yeah, I felt like with COVID and that incident, I just felt, it made me reassess my life.
Yeah.
But maybe not in the right way. It was more of a reaction. Yeah. And I think what that should have made me think is time is too short.
Yeah.
You can't buy time.
Yep.
Make some more work. Make some more kits because you really love it. And what I did was I kind of retired. I kind of took a step back from it and started to worry about really mundane things. And what happened was it depressed me. And I've got this like theory. Guys who have a hobby sort of, they make better use of their life because they
live longer.
Yeah. They got stuff to do. And people always, you say, you spend so much time on your hobby, but that's what keeps you in the zone.
Yeah.
And I just think it's one of the aspects of our hobby that we perhaps don't appreciate.
Yeah. I think to be fair,
it's the mental well-being it brings.
Yeah, to be fair, it's quite an isolated hobby, and I think if people have got to have a focus, which is why I do these Sundays, because during COVID, if we're talking about COVID, the guys were banging on the door at the end. They were that desperate because, let's be honest, you can only watch so much daytime television, can't you? And it's just terrible. It's mind-numbing. Your brain turns to jelly after a bit, doesn't it? Yeah. So we were busy, funnily enough. People were just picking the stuff up and we were dropping it outside the door and you were pushing money for the envelope, which I like, by the way, that's okay, that's fine, don't worry about that, that's all good for me. So I think that basically when I've had any time off here, I struggle a little bit because I just say, I want to watch the TV, but after a bit you get fed up.
You do get fed up with it, yeah. So
you've got to have a focal going. I think as human beings we've got to interact.
Yeah, and as much as I love my family, and I'm always pleased to see them, that I want to go back to work because now that the holiday's over, I want to go back to work because first of all it gives me a little bit more headspace to do stuff. And I just feel as though I'm trying to blow the cobwebs out of the way, especially this post-Christmas thing. Yeah. And I always promise myself I'm not going to make any New Year's resolutions.
But you do.
But I do in my head. You know, the usual stuff like do more, lose weight, be a better person, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I'm working on it. You know, if I was marking myself as a piece of work at school, I'd write something like must try harder in all of these areas.
Yes.
You know?
I think most would say that, wouldn't we?
So what's the future hold for yourself, Paul?
Just keep trying to get better.
Have you got much in the pipeline?
Not a lot at the moment because I don't have a lot of time.
I did see one piece that you were. I think I don't know whether that was a sneak preview or.
That is finished and ready for moulding.
Get it sorted, mate. Get it sorted. I know you're worried about competition, but trust me, there's no competition.
Is it a secret?
I'll leave that up to Paul. I've seen it.
Okay,
I've seen
you can show me later.
I want to see if it works first.
Right. We'll get back. We'll come back to this because now this is what they call a cliffhanger.
Yeah, this is a cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger.
So watch this space.
So if you want to know what it is, you have to watch the next episode.
Yeah, but it is from what I've seen of it, it does look really nice, and
something different.
It is different. I mean,
and the size.
It's quite small again.
Excellent.
It is, and it's a character. He's gone off at a tangent again, which is pretty good. Yes, it's a completely different character. It's not out of the Beano, is it?
No, it's not out of the Beano.
Not any Beano that I've read.
It's not Lord Snooty or something like that.
Lord Snooty, oh my God.
That's not the dandy. No, Lord Snooty's the Beano, isn't it?
Right, so which has been your most popular, Paul? Which has been your most successful?
The werewolf and the female samurai.
Oh, he's found Banana Man.
The female samurai was great. Billy Whiz. This used to be my nickname at school.
Did it?
Billy Whiz.
Why? Because you used to run everywhere.
No, yeah.
Or did you just look like him?
No, I just looked like him. Like a little tubby kid with a curl on my forehead. No, but I did used to go everywhere at like 100 miles an hour. I wish I still did, to be honest.
Yeah, more like 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Can you remember a gentleman that bought your first one of your kits off you called Pete Elwood? He bought the Hellraiser.
Yes.
Do you know the story? Has he told you what happened when he met you? I'm going to let
I don't know. Go on. I can't remember.
Right. I'll tell you one of Dave's little stories. Well, it's not Dave's, it's Pete's little story. So, Pete Elwood, big shout out to you. I promised Paul I'd tell him this. So, if you don't know, he's going to find out now. He arranged to meet you one day to pick the Hellraiser up, didn't he? Do you know where I'm going with this now?
I remember the experience. Yes. Yeah. I think I know where you're going to go with this. Yeah.
Well, anyway, this
was quite funny.
This is typical, and correct me if I've got it wrong. Cool. So Pete's a lovely guy. Pete's a great big burly guy with a big beard. He works construction.
Yes, I think
now he's
so,
a massive Hellraiser fan. Right, massive. Now Paul does a really cool set of Hellraiser. So Paul arranged to meet Pete close to us because Pete was coming back here. So anyway, Pete says, I'll be there shortly. So Pete turns up here and he goes, Dave, I don't know what I've done. And I went, oh, what's up, mate? He said, I've just met Paul, lovely fella. He said, I've paid for this Hellraiser one here.
Kit.
He said, paid for him like that. He says, I went to message him to say thank you. And he said, you know what, you got automatic messages. So tell me more about yourself. So he's met him in the lay-by.
What are you wearing? What are you wearing?
It had me quite worried.
Yeah. So he's met him in this lay-by, give him a load of money, and then asked him to tell him about himself. So you're something you're not telling us, mate.
I was a bit concerned myself when he started sending that.
So he comes through the door and he's like, Dave. Well, he didn't say that. He swore a little bit. And I'm like, Pete, what have you done? And he tells me this story, and I'm like, I've got to ask Paul about it. So it's true.
Well, it is totally true because he sent me that same message about 4 times.
No, he never told me that.
Tell me where to meet you. And every time you won't tell me more about yourself.
It kept coming through as the same message, and I at first I thought, well, that's a bit odd, but then I thought, well, maybe he's worried about meeting me in case he thinks I'm a murderer or something.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. As long as they want any pictures exchanged.
There was no pictures.
So that's true.
But that is totally true, and yes.
So Pete, it is true.
Yeah, it is true, but there were no pictures.
Well, anyway, thanks very much for coming today, mate. It's been great.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Guys, please check this guy's work out.
Yeah.
It is very, very good. It's reasonably priced. It's not mega expensive. He's a really nice chap. He'll be at every show because he's always there. And look forward to seeing the next one. It's really, his stuff's really good. The detail, I love them. What do you call them? Little garden warrior.
Oh, the garden characters.
Yeah, he does some little guys like a bee, and he does.
If you ever been associated with Dungeons and Dragons or Warhammer, if you think about these, like what they used to call Ents, which are like tree spirits. There's some in the Peter Jackson's film, it doesn't do it justice. But if you think about every little bit of a garden having a soul and coming alive, it's like looking, and once again it's this Japanese kind of Shinto Buddhist feeling that every object has a spiritual existence.
Yeah, it's great.
These little bees and trees and stuff are coming alive. It's real kind of Alice in Wonderland in a way, and at the same time it's got that beautiful surrealism about it. So I would recommend
check it out, guys. I check it out, guys.
Yeah.
I hope you've all enjoyed this, and I hope you've had a great Christmas, guys, and a good New Year. I hope you've got all you want. Me and Bill have planned to do a few more stuff. We've had loads of messages I need to go through with him, and we'll get Paul back in again when we debut his sneak preview. I promise I won't tell you what it is. But
have you got some photographs of Paul's work you can stick on the end?
I'll stick them at the end. Like I said, it's been lovely chatting to him. We've eventually got him to come, and it was well worth it.
Thank you.
So look after yourself. If you like, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and we'll see you again.